Wore him
See,
out.
what was that? I was thinking Elon Musk was in an interview not so long ago with somebody, and he got an attitude and was like, he got upset. Practically almost was about to walk out type joint. Yeah. Yeah, Elon, he be into everything. I think he probably messed up most likely when he got into Twitter or X. I feel like that was kind of like he showed his hand completely on that one.
Yeah, man. You know, he showed he showed just how racist he was by, you know, because here's the thing, like, oh, it's freedom of speech, it's freedom of speech. Yes, unless somebody is saying something that your ass
Don't
doesn't
like.
like. You know, it's freedom of speech for white boys who are secure with their investments and all that stuff, hee hee ha ha. But when Don Lemon asks you, is your ass on dope?
He like,
You know, you know, all of this stuff that you said about diversity, equity, and inclusion, you basically said that black people can't fly planes. But, and you use that door blowing off of that airplane as
on
your
a black guy.
excuse.
Did he blame it on a black guy?
He says, yo, so the door blew off of that plane. Elon Musk says, yeah, you know, we got to get rid of diversity, equity, and inclusion because you're lowering the standards.
Is any place that you want to go in any country, in any continent in the world. And when you walk the streets of DC, especially if you're, downtown near the capital area, you can't help but notice that there are people of all hues and shapes and ethnicities, and you hear beautiful languages being spoken. And there's a place that everybody seems to be jostling and making for themselves. But you see, the core of everything is money. The core of everything is the collective of power that leads to money. And people are here because they have a chance to be close to power. They're here because they see a chance to have a better way of life, or they're here to maintain their way of life. And so the competition is all about how do I gain resources and how do I live. If you have thoughts about what America should be as opposed to what America is, then please call in and talk to me. 252-937-7400, 919-872-9210. That matters because what happens here reverberates throughout the United States and in our communities. And I think sometimes we get stuck thinking that things that only happen in Rocky Mount are just about Rocky Mount, or the things that happen in Raleigh are just about Raleigh. No, everything is interconnected and interrelated. And so when I think about the challenges that the sanitation workers are having about their compensation being fairly and equitably considered, as well as the compensation of the paramilitary departments in the city of Rocky Mount, like the fire department and the police department, when they're at the table saying, treat me right, fairly evaluate who I am and what I'm doing, then that conversation is not just about Rocky Mount. It's from a concept of who deserves to get paid for what. That's something that is very, very, very prevalent. You look, it's happening in Durham. Same thing is taking place in Durham. It's happening across the nation. In Seattle, Washington, after George Floyd was killed in Minnesota, Minneapolis, down the street from an OIC, by the way. We'll ask Lewis to talk about that when he comes. Cities around the nation responded to that brutal death by law enforcement as really a critical way of evaluating what the role of policing and law enforcement was and is in their societies. And so what ended up happening in a place like Seattle, Washington, is that they went about dismantling their law enforcement department. And I think they took it a little far, because what they ended up doing was not funding law enforcement, and then they had an entire, movement of people just sort of taking over and wilding out, and not having the infrastructure to keep people safe. So I think there is a continuum of consideration. Then you got the other end of it, where I was reading something in one of my apps about these 6 officers somewhere in the South. I don't know if it was Louisiana, Alabama, or Mississippi, where these 6 officers are being charged, and they've been convicted of federal convictions of targeting these 2 Black men, because they were in a home with a white woman, and another white man called in and said there are these 2 Black guys in a white woman's house, and 6 officers showed up, and they brutalized them, poured chocolate and milk and stuff all over their bodies, their faces, and then made them strip down naked, 2 men, and made them get in the shower together, and then they did some other brutal acts, to them, and really traumatized them, and they had a history. These 6 people had a history of attacking and brutalizing Black men, so much so that they were proud of what they did. They felt justified about their actions, and they called themselves the Goon Squad. And so 2 of them have gotten convictions for or awaiting sentencing. And so we'll just see what takes place. So, in our nation, you got these wide swings of how people are dealing and thinking about the role of government. Today, as I was walking the halls of Congress and in the Senate side of, I mostly spent my time in the Senate today, not meeting with some of my peers from other states in the South, Florida, and Louisiana, Maryland, and North Carolina. We were together. And, when you talk to Republican senator staffs and you talk to Democrat senator staffs, and you hear the perspectives that they both share, or that they all share, about what America should be doing, how the money should be spent, you find that there are some places in the middle that people can agree on. And there are places that swing wide, that it's amazing that we're all in the same place, that we come from the same land, the same place that creates this rich, stew of people and cultures that we enjoy. So I love to hear what's on your mind and what you're thinking about these things. And give me a call, 252-937-7400 or 919-872-9210. The other thing that I really am compelled to make sure we give voice to today is, anything that you feel are relevant to have conversations around, that you think that need elevation. When I say elevation, it needs somebody to know what's taking place. So if you have some issues that are taking place in your communities or your neighborhoods or your city that you feel are important to expose, important to know about, important to celebrate. This is not just about problems in the world, because for every problem, there should be a pathway to a solution, right? And we want to keep it on the down, keep it moving, not keep it down, but keep it moving up. So, I want to give you an opportunity to bring voice to what some of those concerns would be. 252-937-7400 or 919-872-9210. I also want to celebrate the fact that we're coming out of a freezing cold lockdown. It's been a long winter time, and it wasn't necessarily a freezing cold winter, but it seems like the cold just wouldn't go away. It lingered around a lot. So I'm happy to see that we got, times of sunshine and a little bit of fresh air blowing, along with all that green tree pollen. So you can't keep your cars clean. We all, fighting that green pollen stuff. But what it produces is very beautiful. It's beautiful to see the trees in bloom, and people just seem to have a happier look on their faces about what the possibilities of springtime are. So if you're calling with some opportunities to grow, opportunities to bring a little bit of sunshine and joy in somebody's life, give me a call, 252-937-7400 or 919-872-9210. You know what else is really important to me, as I'm telling you, if you're just tuning in, I'm not in Rocky Mount today. I'm in Washington, D.C. this week. The importance of being engaged in your local elections. You know, the vote is the most important thing that we have as citizens of the United States of America. We literally lead the world in not just what we do politically, but how we operate and how we think culturally. Because we are an amalgam, a blend, a beautiful mixing place of all types of people from all over the world, the things that our culture create in the United States impacts, affects, and influences every single corner of the globe. It's just amazing to me how people really feel that America is a leader in all things culture. And we see it, don't we, in our music? We see it in our fashion. You know, we see it in political movements as well. We also see it. We see how people's involvement impacts and affect policies that are, that end up in creating opportunities for employment, end up creating opportunities for higher education, end up creating opportunities for housing or lack of housing or anything else. And I'm telling you, talking with these elected officials, some of who come from very, very red areas of their states, some who come from very, very blue areas of their states, there is a wide swing around what is acceptable. And one of the things I think that we're trying to do with OIC, we'll talk about a little bit later after the break, that OIC tries to do is find that place that we can bring agreement from both sides of the aisle to impact and affect and benefit most of us who live in the middle, but many of us who live in a place where it really doesn't matter to us one way, whether you're Republican or Democrat. What matters to them is survival. People are trying to eat. They're trying to live. They're trying to find a way to get up out the bed every morning if they have a bed, if they have a secure place to live and to shelter. That they want more, and we hope that we'll be able to offer options to them to help them give more and be more. So in a few minutes, I think a few moments, we'll take a break, pay some bills, and then after 5:30, we'll be joined with another colleague of mine and a global influencer on the workforce development market. I hope you'll tune in with me to talk with Lewis King. So as soon as my bosses at the station decide to take a break, then we'll go to we'll go to commercial. So I'm gonna pause it right there and give them a chance to take us to commercial and pay some bills. And I thank you for tuning in to Express Yourself on Wednesdays with me, Reuben Blackwell. I'm your host, and I hope that you're enjoying the conversation, and I hope you're listening. And I want you to stay tuned, because we're going to come back with much more of Express Yourself. Thank you.
Live from the NC Black Alliance Weather Center, ncblackalliance.org, Choice FM weather.
Current temperature right now is 69 degrees. Temperatures will dip overnight, but only into the mid 50s. Now, tomorrow is going to be a little bit cooler than it was today with a high of 62 degrees, but you'll see nothing but pure sun. So definitely enjoy that. From the NC Black Alliance Weather Center, I am JC Law with the People Station Choice FM.
Pop's Diner, 132 South Church Street, Rocky Mount. Juicy burger, hot, delicious wing, yummy spaghetti, and the first pizza to ever be served downtown Rocky Mount. Hot, delicious pizza and more at Pop's Diner. Pop's Diner for hot dogs. Pop's Diner for lunch. Open daily from 11 till 7 p.m. City workers get the Pop's hookup. Pop's Diner open from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Wings, pizza, burgers, spaghetti, salads, and more. Hot, fresh, and fast at Pop's downtown Rocky Mount. Open 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday.
310
If you a bad chick, run it up, run it
this
up.
Friday night, Touchdown Sports Bar present 310 baby.
Do it right, do it.
Touchdown Sports
Do
Bar,
it
3601
right.
New Bern Avenue, Raleigh. 310 baby.
I'm seeing she ain't come to play. Back it up.
Doors open at 9. Must be 18 and up to enter and 21 and up to drink with tight security. This Friday night, Touchdown Sports Bar present 310 baby.
Run it up. Those stupid, run it up.
Get your tickets at eventbrite.com. Search Touchdown Sports Bar. Performing live this Friday night, 310 baby.
Hey, Raleigh, Wake Forest, Durham, Morrisville, Gary, TTH Family Dentist is thrilled to welcome new patients back to our state-of-the-art office, 2880 Slater Road, Suite 103 in Morrisville. Dr. Tasha Hinton, with over 20 years of experience, is here to make your dental visit extraordinary. And Dr. Hinton is a specialist in treating patients with special needs, including autism and cerebral palsy.
Hi, I'm Dr. Hint at TTH Family Dentistry. Your smile is our priority. From x-rays and cleanings to extractions and gum disease treatments, we got you covered.
For your appointment, call 919-388-3719 or visit tthfamilydentistry.com. That's tthfamilydentistry.com. And here's something that will make you smile even brighter. Dr. Hinton can enhance your radiance with therapeutic Botox and smile enhancement. Therapeutic Botox and smile enhancement at TTH Family Dentistry. Look and feel your best self. TTH Family Dentistry. TTHFamilyDentistry.com.
Watts Chapel Missionary Baptist Church with Reverend Dr. Harry L. White Jr. online at wattschapel.org and live this Sunday at 9:30 on Choice FM.
Choice FM is live at 5.
It's like this, the South got something to say. That's all I got to say.
Reuben Blackwell, and express yourself on Choice FM.
And thank you so much for listening and joining me today to have good conversation and good chat about what's happening in our state, what's happening in our cities, what's happening in our neighborhoods, our communities, what's happening in our nation. Hey, I'm in Washington, D.C. this week, and I'm hanging with some great folks from around the country, and we're all advocating for our organizations around the country that deal with workforce development. We're here with OICs of America. In a few minutes, I'll be joined by our president and CEO. But in the meantime, until he gets here, just want to regroup and find out what's important to you. Would love to hear you and what you're talking about. We are talking about how to prepare ourselves as a country to include the things that are important to us as we build and develop a new culture that takes us forward into the future. We're going to be a country that's embracing of other people from other places. We see that folks are really trying to get in here from South America and from Central America. And it breaks your heart. It's compelling. And it's also scary, isn't it? Let's just be honest about it. When we see, thousands of people pouring into our country because of the oppression that they're dealing with in their own countries, when they're dealing with lack of opportunity to take care of their families. And they come to America because they've been communicated with on social media, on traditional media, about all the great opportunities that America has. And truth be told, and the other side of things is that that there are many industries and organizations that represent industries. They don't tell you this, they market America. They market come to America. There is a job for you. They do this intentionally in many of these countries because they're looking for alternatives to paying, livable wages and sometimes even minimum wages. And so some of the conditions that people are willing to put up with just to have an opportunity to have a consistent and a regular paycheck, a way to just bring money in. People are being recruited here to work on farms and agricultural settings and environments, and we need them here, don't we? Everybody doesn't want to work on the farm anymore. And we have some folks in our area. Richard Joyner is one of them, with Kaneda Family Life Center, who is trying to bring back farming in Black spaces and places. Black folk built this country in agricultural environments, and we were the ones by force for hundreds of years, working in these fields and farms all around this nation. We were the ones that were sent to the West to claim territory that belonged to Mexico, that fought indigenous peoples, that got rid of, the folks who were living there to clear out things for white settlers to come in and occupy.
Hey, excuse me, Reuben.
Yes.
Hey, we got a caller on the line. Your guest is on the line too.
Fantastic.
Bring him on.
Thank you.
All
Please do bring him on. Thank you so much. Thank you, Louis King.
It is
welcome
Louis
to
King.
Express Yourself. Thank you, Louis. I was just sort of talking a few minutes ago about what we're doing here in Washington, D.C., and I just wanted to introduce you to listeners in Rocky Mount and in Raleigh, North Carolina, about our leader of OICs all across this nation. And I wanted to give you an opportunity to talk to us about things that are on your mind and on our mind in America, and what we're trying to do to bring opportunities to more people.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, and thank you for joining me here in D.C. I value your friendship, your camaraderie, and your professionalism. As you know, Reuben, America has left a lot of people out of the American dream. They are forgotten people in forgotten places. And at OIC, we carry on the proud tradition of fighting for those people so that they can gain access to the middle class. Currently, we are introducing a $30 million a year appropriation in the House, carried by Congressman Dwight Evans, and we brought 21 of our 25 affiliates here to carry on the legacy of Dr. Leon Sullivan, the founder of the OICs, who wrote the Sullivan Principles that helped to bring down apartheid. And what I've learned in my 25 years of working with the OICs is much like what Frederick Douglass said: power concedes nothing without demand. And we had to come to D.C. to represent those people who are overlooked every day. And even though there are all these opportunities out there, they are not connected to them. They live in communities that are economically and socially isolated. And this is both white folks and black folks and Latinos, people of all races and backgrounds. They are not connected to the opportunities. The people who control the opportunities don't have relationships. And for that matter, they would prefer to see the status quo keep going with the same drumbeat. And unfortunately, since the 60s, many of our leaders have drank the Kool-Aid. It's no wonder that President Biden is having issues with black folks. They're listening to WIIFM, what's in it for me. And so far, we don't have much to point to. Our agenda has been lost in the shuffle of everybody else. And now We want to know what have you done for us lately? And we have to sing in one voice and make demands so that adults can work, especially the men who, if they don't work, they become dangerous and go to prison, which leaves the women and children on welfare and social services under what I call the misery management machine.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the mission of OIC of America, and I'm proud to serve along with you. Our current vision is to bring a training program nationwide that will serve 25,000 people a year, with half of them having been justice involved. We have a labor shortage now, and just as we had the Great Migration 100 years ago that created the Black middle class, we have the opportunity to take advantage of technology and the marketplace to see to it that our people can get to the final frontier in the United States of America, and that's economic justice. And that, my friend, is what this trip is all about.
Well, I couldn't have ever said it better than you. And just so the listening audience knows, Louis King led one of the most successful OIC operations in this country and in this world, literally, at Summit Academy OIC in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Louis, tell us what happened a few years ago when George Floyd was killed. What was going on in your environment that made this shift and this move to help us recognize we have to get more aggressive, more assertive about what we're doing to bring resources to this movement that can really transform America?
Certainly. I would take one step back from George Floyd and say that my awakening came over a decade ago when I saw the amount of money being spent on stadiums and roads. But every time I drove by a highway project, there were no black men driving those machines. Yet they were spending $1 billion a year on road construction. And when we went to the Minnesota Department of Transportation, the contractors and the union showed up and basically said that was hard work, didn't know if we could do it. And I had a project called 100 Hard Hats, and they challenged me to find 100 black men that would go into the construction trades. Needless to say, we train over 300 people a year now, and we have on what I call the ant trail. Once, it's like when an ant, you see him carrying a crumb away, and then you come back, and all his buddies, they're carrying the whole loaf. That's how people work. When George Floyd came, corporate America suddenly had found a conscience and put their programs out there, but now they have the George Floyd hangover, and many of those things are going away. As the president touts his infrastructure bill, I challenge him to point out how those funds reach the black community. Show me where we have benefited from that at all. And I'll put that out there. The programs that they have do not have a significant impact on the black community. If they did, we wouldn't have the problems that we have today. And most of the time when they put the money out there, it ends up in the hands of people who don't look like us, don't understand our communities, and really have no interest in seeing us get ahead. What they're really doing is just pushing paper. Leon Sullivan taught us the importance of organizing and pushing the ball. The final thing that's really in the way now, when you get to the economic apartheid that exists in this country, it is not race neutral. And what do I mean by that? I mean the middle class of all races, black and white and other, have turned their backs on poor people. Sometimes they speak for them, but rarely do they speak to them. And they definitely don't bring them in to speak for themselves. And that is what OIC stands for, is who we were and who we will be in the future.
Well, that's the one thing I love about this movement. that we don't just talk the talk, but we walk the walk, and we find a way to pave the road so others can walk with us. And some of the interesting conversations that we were a part of with the delegation that I was with, and I want to thank you, Louis, for pulling together a phenomenal experience today. And I think we were able to enlighten folks on both sides of the aisle about the work that we do in this country. But I've heard so much talk about from some folks who are, that think that you incent new job creation by giving corporations more money. And then others who think that, well, you just sort of let people choose pathways for themselves and they'll make it, make it work. And so what I'm hearing, though, that there is a hunger and an awakening, no matter where the perspective is, that there needs to be something different that's put in place so that people who really do want to work get a chance to work. And we were just also talking about what's taking place at the border and people, hundreds of thousands of folks trying to get in to, provide labor or not just to provide labor, but to have a better way of life. And what about the people who are already here? How do we embrace those who want to come and do work and make a better life for themselves and create opportunities for those who are already here? What are your thoughts about that?
So first of all, when I was at Morehouse, the professor would say, gentlemen, close the books and let's talk about what this means to Black folks. So that's my perspective. Having said that, we've always had friends. Further, although we were unwilling immigrants, everyone in this country except the Native Americans are immigrants. And then finally, the people coming across that border, they represent folks who will do jobs many of us don't want to do. Let's just face it. Mm-hmm. And they are here now, and they need to be absorbed into the country, into the workforce, into the economy, so that they are productive. We are short workers. We need them. I'm not going to get into the policy debate about this or that. I'm simply saying, figure it out, get it done, and when they are here, what are we going to do with them?
Right.
That deal. For the African American community, you can create a condition where people feel hopeless. Their leaders fail them. All they do is shake your hand, pat you on the back, but nothing changes, and they only come to you when it's time to vote. Mm-hmm. The next day, when they start handing money out, you get nothing. And that's pretty much where we are, regardless of the race of the leaders. Mm-hmm. So we have to find a way to get people inspired. I believe in giving young people the mantle. When you look back in the 60s, those were not 60-year-old people leading those protests. Mm-hmm. Protests and war are the sciences of the young. We have the resources, we have the experience, we have the knowledge, we have the relationships. They got the muscle. Right now, we're kind of laying on the sidelines while everyone gives attention to every other agenda except ours. In the meantime, employers are screaming for people. So I think efforts like yours, with you and Cummins Engines, for example, we have to put that on steroids. And we have to go to people and say, listen, come with us, do as we do, we'll show you the way, and then you show others. And that way, as we strengthen people, they will strengthen their families, they will strengthen communities. I come from a family of merchant Marines, first one to go to college. All the men in my family knew what it took to get on a boat. You get your high school diploma, somebody took you down to the Union Hall, you got on the boat, first you went up to New York, around New Orleans, and then you started going across the pond, Europe, Africa, Asia. We can do this again with technology, STEM, and we can ensure, since when has it been somebody else's responsibility to educate Black children? We have to take it upon ourselves to see to it that they have stable mothers and fathers so they can be stable in school and learn and grow up and become productive citizens.
That's on point, my brother. That's on point, Louis. And that's something that everybody can take with them, that there is a place for everybody if you desire to make your life better, there's a place at OIC that can help you get there. Louis, before we leave today, I would like you to talk a little bit about one of our most successful programs, which talks about reentry, or it helps people reenter into society as they are coming out of incarcerated situations. We know that with the war on drugs and with the some of the extreme measures that federal, local, and state governments have taken, that Black men are incarcerated at much, much higher rates than anybody else in America, disproportionately so, that we have a much higher percentage of folk in prisons than we do in colleges and universities and institutions of higher learning. And OIC is seeking to turn that tide and shift and make opportunities available for people when they're coming back into society and find a way not just to basically survive, but to thrive and have another opportunity. Can you talk to us about the SOAR program and not just the SOAR program, but the components of it that made it successful and what we like to expand throughout this nation?
Certainly. You have to look at any society, and the men don't work, they're dangerous. That's Mogadishu, that's the Middle East, that's anywhere. That's North Philadelphia, North Minneapolis, the South Side of Chicago. Men are going to find a way to take care of their family. And in the Black community, overwhelmingly, the industry of choice is the drug industry. And with the drugs come guns, comes prisons, etc. So right away, the earning power of the Black community is muted because the men go away and don't work. And then when they come back, they can't work any more of the menial jobs. Do you know that the median net worth, that means as many people above as there are below, of a Black household is $44,000 a year. And for Black females, single females, it's $1,700 a year. They have cars and clothes that cost more than that. So what have we been relegated to is providing an income for other people. The SOAR program allows us to go into the prisons to say to people, if you want to find a better life when you come out, if you want to do more for your family, we'll be there with you. We'll help you. We'll point you in the right direction to help you get a good job. And your OIC has been very successful, and I want to commend you and thank you as my go-to guy in getting this done. And now, you know, we got funded by Blue Meridian to the tune of $8 million to go beyond what the federal government allows us to do. We have training in the pipeline that will provide stipends and help people get hope. They don't have to feel stuck, that this is the only life they know and all that they can do. And we're asking anyone out there who believes in justice, who believes in fair play, who believes in the promise that said all men are created equal, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We ask you to join us in this epic journey as we fight for the economic freedom of people all over this country.
That's incredible. And Louis, we thank you, my friend. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for the way that you have pulled our nation together. And thank you for opening up doors for all of us to do our work better and to do it more efficiently and to serve more people. I truly believe that you're going to be a global leader. You are a global leader in workforce solutions and an opportunity to help our communities grow in ways that we've never been able to do so before. Thank you for being a great guy too. Louis King is a phenomenal man, and we share almost everything together, except we both in 1911. We're at opposite ends of the pole, but our hearts are knit together. Our hearts are knit together. Thank you.
Right. Hey, remember this, you're the younger of the two, all right?
That's okay. I'll take that by a few months.
All right, Reuben.
All right, man. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time. Thank you for your availability and keep doing the great work. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Same to you, man. Thank you. So now we've heard today from Louis King, who is the former chief executive at Summit Academy in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and who now leads the whole movement of OIC across this nation, and I believe soon across the world. He also staffs the board of directors for OIC of America. And you've heard from him, heard from the horse's mouth, literally, about how we are working together across this nation to try to find ways to build pathways for people to have better lives, especially poor people. We're not afraid to say that word poor. You know, folks have a tendency to want to gloss over the hardships that have been baked into American society for Black people in particular. There's been, no matter what anybody else has suffered or dealt with, and I'm not minimizing, I do not minimize the horrible journeys that people of Latino descent have had to deal with, and the tragedies and the horrible traumas that they've experienced have been terrible. And I'm one of the people who welcome folks into our country to say, thank you for being here. Thank you for doing things and working in places where I might not want to work anymore, but that are critical to be able to do those things. I also am very respectful of the challenges that have been made, created for people of Asian descent who've come here. You know, Chinese people helped build the railroad system in the western part of the United States. And when you look at a state like California, when you look at Washington, when you look at Utah, when you look at Oregon and those states that are in the western part, and even when you move further into Oklahoma and other states like that, it was Chinese people working alongside Black people who built the railroad system. In the southern part of the United States, then I'm telling you, in the southern part of the United States, it's Black slaves who built the railroads at Rocky Mountain. Every time you look at that train come through Rocky Mountain, you get frustrated about whether you're on the Nashville, the Edgecombe side of that train. Those railroad tracks were laid by Black slave labor, so I have a respect for what people have gone through, but nobody endured slavery but Black people in these United States. So that's something that I just have to emphasize, that we're still recovering from hundreds of years of intentional exclusion, intentional segregation, intentional separation. And so now we've got to be intentional about bringing prosperity and opportunities for growth and development to Black communities. And that's what you'll find in Rocky Mount with OIC. And that's what you'll find with OICs across this country, whether you're talking San Francisco or Miami, whether you're talking Monroe, Louisiana, whether you're talking Anne Arundel County, Maryland. You got people who are there who care about you. So this is not localized, it's a national thing. Thank you for being part of it. I also want to shout out to new graduates all across our service area, especially in Rocky Mount. We just had some graduates of our construction trades program at OIC. It was so wonderful. Thank you, Teresa Alston, for posting those great pictures about our new graduates who went through that training course and they got the certification. That's one thing that OIC does. We have industry certified. The letters, the piece of paper does matter, folks, the accredited training. We're so excited about all of those. Did you see that class full of Black men who had a second chance at it? Beautiful picture. And maybe I'll post it on my page so that Choice can post it on their page so you can see it. See what those spaces look like of hope and excitement, and the fact that they completed something that they started before is so important that we give people shout outs. So I want to thank you for being inspired enough to come here and discipline yourself and learn something and become proficient at what you do. And we're also looking to see entrepreneurs created. A job is great. And I got a job. I'm thankful for my job, But one thing about my job, I can do well and I try to work hard at it, do a good job. But when I die, I can't bequeath my job to my family. But you can do that if you own your own business. So you're going to see some things coming out of OIC in the days, the weeks, the months ahead that are doing more to create opportunities for Black people in particular, but all people to be able to, to be able to say I own my own business and not just have a business, but to have a successful and a thriving business. So we have more information that we'll bring to you in the future. But we've had a really good show today, and I thank you for listening to me. We're gonna give you a final chance to give me a call. You got 2 more minutes. You can call me at 252-937-7400, or you can call me at 919-872-9210 and talk to me for another minute or two. I love to chat with you. I know it's late, and I hope by now you've made it to your destination or very close to getting there. And I hope you've had a good time listening and some inspiring conversation. If you hadn't heard Louis King before, you'll have a chance to hear him again. He is a dynamic individual who really believes in what he's doing, a wonderful organizer, and a fantastic leader. I'm just privileged to be able to work alongside him, privileged to be able to serve in the ranks that help bring opportunities for hundreds of thousands of people across this nation. I'm also privileged to talk to you. And I'm privileged that you take time to listen to me every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. on the hottest radio station around that I know, Choice 92 FM. We're appreciative for Choice and the opportunity to bring enlightenment to our communities, opportunity to bring good information and maybe have people talk that you might not hear in other spaces and places. Well, this is the place that you tune in to get that done. So we're counting on you, not just to listen, but to give us a call and talk back with me every week from 5 to 6 p.m. And this is Reuben Blackwell, and this has been Express Yourself. And thank you for listening to us, and I want you to have a great week. We're making it over the hump. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
This is WRSV, Elm City. Turn up! Choice FM.
Make me sweat, make me harder, make me lose.